always the best supply they ever had. And now they finally realize it, but it's already too late. Don't let their silence deceive you. Don't be fooled by their curated Instagram posts, the smug selfies with a new partner, or the performance of fake joy. These aren't signs they've moved on, because deep down, they haven't. In fact, they can't. What haunts them isn't just what happened, but what they lost. They believed you'd always be there. Always forgiving, always loving, endlessly loyal. But the moment you left, without drama, without begging, without seeking revenge, was the moment their illusion completely shattered. This video isn't merely a pep talk. It stands as a declaration for every soul who's ever been used, underestimated, manipulated, but never broken. We're going to examine every sign that reveals the narcissist still thinks about you, still aches for what you once gave them, and why they'll never truly recover from losing you. If you've ever questioned your worth, or if you've ever wondered whether they regret losing you, this is your answer. And if you're ready to heal, to grow, and to fully reclaim your power, hit that subscribe button, because here we don't just speak of pain, we transform it into strength. Sign 1. They're watching you. Silently, obsessively, relentlessly. Narcissists are masters of pretending they don't care, but the truth is, they never truly let go. They might block you, smear your name, call you crazy, overly sensitive, or act as if you're beneath their time. But when the night settles and the fake smiles disappear, you still haunt their thoughts. Not because they hate you, but because they can no longer control you. That's why they watch. Not openly, but secretly, obsessively, like a ghost that won't leave. You may not realize it, but they're viewing your stories with fake accounts. They're Googling your name, revisiting your page, searching for signs that you've moved on, trying to see if you're happy without them. And what eats at them most is this. You look fine. You may even appear better without them. To a narcissist, losing you wasn't just about losing a partner, it was losing a rare emotional supply they can't replicate. And here's the truth. It's not your words or your anger that shake them, it's your silence. That silence echoes. It's power. It's closure without a speech. It's the one thing they can't manipulate, your peace. They can't stand unanswered questions. They loathe seeing you self-sufficient, joyful, and free. Because deep down, it's not you they miss. It's the way being loved by you made them feel. They know no one else will love them with the same depth, with the same grace, with the same truth. You're not just an ex. You're the living reminder of everything they'll never have again. And yes, that burns. But don't be deceived by their lurking. They're not searching for truth, they're searching for control. They want signs of your pain, anything to feel relevant again. So the most powerful thing you can do is thrive, quietly, genuinely, without feeling the need to prove a single thing. Because your peace, that is their ultimate punishment. But this is only the beginning. Because while secretly watching you is damaging enough, what comes next is far worse. When they start imitating you. That's when their obsession turns into identity. Sign 2. They start imitating you because they can't replace you. If watching you was their quiet obsession, then mimicking you is when that obsession starts taking over their sense of self. Narcissists don't create, they recycle. And what do they copy first? You. From your favorite bands to your quotes, your spiritual views, even your routines, they begin to morph into you, or at least a faint version of you. At first, it seems harmless, but soon, you'll begin to notice these unsettling echoes. A photo you once took, now reenacted. A quote you wrote, now reposted as if they thought of it themselves. Your habits, your meditations, your reading, your solo walks, suddenly become their brand new lifestyle. Why? Because they can no longer have you, so they chase the feeling they had when you were still in their life. They crave your light, but now all they have are shadows. Here's the thing, they can mimic your actions, but never your soul. They're not copying to evolve. They're imitating because you've become their unreachable standard. The new partner they parade around? More often than not, just a stand-in, a prop for a replay. You may be gone, but your presence now haunts every dynamic they try to form. They can't connect without comparing. The new person isn't their piece, it's a performance. They're just trying to recreate the feeling you once gave, but they never will. Because your love wasn't a role, it was real. It was soul. So when they start copying you, don't feel mocked, feel confirmed. They're not ridiculing you. They're mourning you. And when that imitation fails to fill the void, they escalate. They weaponize their new partner, using them not out of love, but out of spite. And that brings us to the next sign. Sign 3. They use the new person as a tool to manipulate you. Narcissists don't fall in love, they measure. They don't bond, they exploit. And the new person they're showing off, they're not a fresh start. They're a weapon aimed directly at your heart. Right after the breakup, or sometimes even before it, they begin flaunting someone new. Hand-holding, sweet captions, romantic photos. The same gestures they once dismissed when you did them, calling them cringy or too much, they now perform proudly. But don't be deceived. It's not about love, it's about reaction. Every post, every story isn't joy, it's bait. It's meant for you to see, to feel, to doubt your worth. Because to a narcissist, your pain is proof. They still matter. The new person isn't loved, they're cast in your old role. But this time, the script is hollow. Worse, they don't just use this person to fake happiness. They use them to rewrite history. You become too much, too emotional, toxic. They twist the truth. Suddenly, they're the victim and you're the villain. But the truth, it doesn't lie. Look into their eyes in those curated photos. There's a forced smile, a vacant gaze, a filtered life they can't sustain, because no one can manufacture real love if they've never truly felt it. Using someone new to manipulate you isn't progress, it's fear. Fear of your silence, fear of your strength, fear of your finality. That new partner doesn't diminish your worth. They only expose the narcissist's deep void, the one they thought you'd never walk away from. But you did. And now, your stillness speaks volumes. It's the loudest sound in their silent, hollow world. And here's the cruel twist. They won't just pretend they're happy. Eventually, the cracks show. The new partner starts to notice. They sense the same emptiness you once did, the same patterns, the same manipulations. They feel what you escaped. But you're already free. And now, the narcissist faces the one thing they feared most, an emptiness they can't escape. Which brings us to the next sign. Sign 4. They come back, but they don't know what to say. They vanished for a while. No messages, no calls, no closure. They disappeared from your world like you never even mattered. Then, just as you're healing, just as the pain starts to quiet, just as you begin to smile again, they return. But not with an apology, not with genuine remorse. Just a vague message. Hey, how have you been? Or saw your picture the other day. It might seem casual, harmless, even kind. But you know better. This isn't care, it's a test. Because narcissists don't return out of love. They return out of curiosity, out of insecurity. They want to see if you've truly let go, if they still have power. They don't know what to say, because they know nothing they say can undo what they did. No excuse feels right. No promise seems believable. They once assumed you'd always be there, ready to forgive, ready to wait. But now when they come back and find no open arms, no emotional reaction, just your calm, they panic. They're not used to peace. They're used to chaos, to pleading, to breakdowns. But now, you're grounded, you're still, you're unreachable. You're not bitter, you're not weak, you're just done. And to a narcissist, that's the most terrifying thing of all. Closure they didn't control. So they fumble, hesitate, ramble through recycled memories, offer up empty words, all hoping for one thing, that you'll flinch. But they don't realize you've changed. You've walked through the fire, you've come out whole. They thought silence would destroy you, but it became your foundation. The pain they caused, it became the lesson that set you free. So now, when they reach out with hollow words and half-truths, they crash against a truth they never expected. Your clarity, your evolution. They can't manipulate what they no longer understand. They're lost in the very game they once controlled. You don't need to respond. You owe them nothing, not grace, not closure. Your silence now speaks louder than any explanation ever could. And if you ever doubt it, remember this. They don't miss you. They miss the feeling of being in control. They don't regret the relationship. They regret losing their grip. Their return isn't a second chance. It's a test. But this time, they'll find you standing, strong, healed, whole. And that's when they'll be to face the one truth they never could accept. You never truly needed them. They just were never enough for someone like you. Sign 5. Your silence becomes the loudest indictment. You didn't make a scene. You didn't write cryptic status updates. You didn't rant to mutual friends. You didn't explain. you didn't defend, you simply chose silence. And that, more than any accusation, is the most deafening verdict the narcissist will ever receive. Narcissists thrive in drama. They feed on chaos. Tears, rage, desperate pleas. Those are languages they understand. Because even pain is engagement. As long as you're reacting, they still matter. But when you go quiet, that's when their power begins to crumble. In your silence, there's no platform left for them. No spotlight, no script, nothing to provoke, nothing to control. And for them, that's the harshest blow imaginable. Your silence isn't emptiness, it's presence, it's authority. It's someone who's done explaining, someone who no longer needs justice or validation, someone who has seen enough and simply walked away. While the narcissist rushes to manage their image, to spin the story in their favor, you're quietly reconstructing your life. They're no longer part of it, not even as a memory worth revisiting. You're not waiting on change. You're not hoping for an apology. And that, not anger, not hate, is what unsettles them most. You're out of reach. But don't mistake silence for passivity. In truth, it's one of the most powerful choices you've made. By not responding, you deny them access. By not engaging, you break the cycle. And suddenly, they lose grip. They spiral. Because now, they can't predict you. They can't read you. They can't siphon your energy. And without that energy, they're forced to confront something they've avoided all along: themselves. Sure, they'll still post, they'll still smile, they'll still perform. But inside, there's a storm. One they can't escape. Because they're no longer getting the emotional fix they once drained from you. You were their mirror, the one that reflected back their carefully constructed illusion. But now, that mirror is gone. Broken. Silent. Your silence leaves them questioning the one thing they fear the most. Have you truly moved on? And if the answer is yes, if you've really let go, it renders everything they once controlled meaningless. That's what they can't stand. That their manipulation, their games, their cruelty meant nothing in the end. It didn't win. It didn't last. It didn't break you. So remember, when you say nothing, you say everything. Your stillness, your peace, your detachment, that's your victory. Not revenge, not retaliation, just freedom. And that freedom echoes louder in their hollow world than any words ever could. But it doesn't end there. Because once they realize they can't reach you with silence, once they understand that you're gone for good, they turn to the next weapon in their arsenal: lies. Sign 6. They lie about you to protect their false identity. When a narcissist can no longer break you with silence, they switch tactics. They pick up an old but dangerous weapon: distortion. They start rewriting the story, bending the truth until it fits their needs. Because if they can't control your feelings anymore, they'll try to control how others see you. They know you walked away, not bitter, not cruel, just finished. And that fact alone threatens everything they've built. So they begin to edit the past. They recast the roles. Suddenly they're the misunderstood one, the victim. And you become the toxic ex, the one who was too much, too dramatic, too emotional. But you know the truth. You loved them with everything you had. You tried, you forgave. You carried more pain than anyone should ever have to just keep something from completely falling apart. But when they speak of you now, especially to someone new, none of that is acknowledged. Why? Because the truth, what you gave, what you endured, and what you ultimately chose to walk away from, is the one thing that can expose them. It's the biggest threat to their image. If others knew what really happened, the mask would shatter. So they do what they've always done: tear you down to protect themselves. They smear your name not for healing, but for control. They use the new person in their life not as a partner, but as a shield. If they can convince others that you were the problem, then no one will question why their relationships always fall apart. But the truth has a quiet way of surfacing. You don't need to defend yourself. You don't need to explain. Because people who listen, really listen, start to notice. They notice the disconnect between the stories they're being told and the behavior they're witnessing. They start to see the emotional games, the blame shifting, the cold silence, and eventually, even the new partner will begin to see through it. You don't need to rush to clear your name. Time will do that for you. They may try to rebuild their image on lies, but no one can wear a mask forever. And when it finally slips, what's revealed won't be strength. It'll be emptiness. They'll try to find what they lost in you over and over in someone else. But it won't work. Because they don't miss you. They miss the reflection you gave them. And now that it's gone, they're left only with the hollow echo of who they pretend to be. And when that doesn't work, when the lies stop holding, there's only one card left to play: fake remorse. Sign 7. They pretend to be sorry, but it's their final manipulation. When all the lies stop working, when the new supply begins to question them, and when the carefully crafted illusion starts cracking at the seams, the narcissist falls back on one last trick: performative remorse. They don't come back with smugness or vague messages anymore. No more, "Hey, how have you been?" Instead, they show up with eyes that seem heavy, voices soft, and words that sound drenched in regret. "I was wrong. I miss you every day. No one ever understood me the way you did." And for a moment, something inside you might pause. Not because the love is still there, but because there was once a version of you who longed to hear those very words, who silently prayed that they would recognize your worth before it was too late. But now that the moment has arrived, it feels different. What floods in isn't warmth, it's clarity. Cold, calm, unmistakable clarity. Because if their apology were real, it wouldn't have come now, after you've healed. It would have come when your heart was still bleeding, when you were still crying yourself to sleep, still asking, "What did I do wrong?" But this isn't transformation, it's panic. This isn't love, it's fear. They don't miss you. They miss what being with you gave them: power, validation, control. So they act. The remorse becomes a role, the apology a script, the change a costume. And beneath all of it, still the same person who hurt you, now just dressed in guilt. Because real remorse, real healing, that's not performative. It's quiet, humble. It shows up not through words but consistent, sincere action. People who are truly sorry don't beg to be forgiven. They take responsibility, even if it costs them connection. They apologize not to regain access, but to release you from the weight of their harm. But the narcissist, their sorry is bait, a ploy, a final attempt to reset the cycle. They're hoping you'll hesitate, that your heart might soften, that you'll open the door just a crack. But they don't understand that you're no longer the person who used to wait in the shadows, blaming yourself for their cruelty. You've changed. You're not the one who used to cry quietly in the dark, wondering if you were the problem. You're not the one who kept giving pieces of yourself away in the hope that one day they'd choose you fully. Now you see things clearly. You've learned that love without respect isn't love at all. That apologies without change are just manipulation with a prettier face. So when they come back with those tear-soaked lines and the hollow regret, you don't rage, you don't beg, you don't even respond. Because you understand something they never will. Forgiveness doesn't mean reopening the door. Compassion doesn't mean returning to harm. Their remorse is not a fresh start. It's the final act. The curtain call after every game has failed. A knock on the door of a home where you no longer live. And you're no longer standing at that threshold. You've walked away. You've exited the performance. And this time, you're not looking back. Sign 8. They obsess over your success and happiness. You thought it was over. That after the lies, manipulation, and empty apologies, the narcissist would finally drift back into their own world. But that's not how it works. A narcissist never truly lets go, not when you were their best supply. And now, what consumes them isn't your sadness, your struggle, or your silence. It's the fact that you're thriving without them. You're glowing. You're grounded. You've rebuilt. Not just survived, but risen. And to them, that's intolerable. They once told you that you'd never make it without them. They acted like they were the center of your world, the source of your strength, your worth, your identity. But now you're out there proving without even trying that none of that was ever true. You've built peace, you've created joy, you're living well, and you've done it all without needing to reference them once. You didn't thank them for your strength, you didn't attribute your growth to their mistreatment, you just moved on. And that's what cuts the deepest. So they begin watching again. But this time, it's not about curiosity. It's comparison. It's measurement. Obsession. They study your photos. They read between the lines of your captions. They look for cracks, moments of weakness, any signs that your happiness is just a facade. Because if you're genuinely happy, then it confirms something they've been trying desperately to deny. They never mattered as much as they told themselves. You weren't lost without them. You were set free. And that truth, it wrecks them. So they scramble, they reinvent. Suddenly they're trying new hobbies, launching passion projects, pretending to grow, pretending to heal. They curate a public image, spiritual, productive content. But it's not for growth, it's for competition. It's to prove they're still in the game. But here's what they'll never understand. You're not playing anymore. You're not posting to get a reaction. You're not improving to be noticed. You're not thriving for applause. Your life isn't a contest. You're not proving anything to them or anyone else. You've simply stepped out of the arena they still live in, and that disarms them completely. Narcissists define their worth by dominance. By comparison, they need someone to outshine, to control, to beat. And when you remove yourself from that dynamic, they're left chasing shadows. The brighter you shine, the darker their world feels. The more you rise, the more unsteady they become. Because now they're stuck with the one truth they've tried to bury. You were the best thing they ever had, and they ruined it all by their own hand. No more power, no more connection. Just the cold realization that what they lost, they'll never find again. And you? You don't need to celebrate your victory loudly. You are the victory, quiet, whole, unstoppable. Sign 9. They mimic your healing, but never touch the truth. You walked away from the narcissist, not just wounded, but exhausted, hollow, drained in ways words couldn't explain. But you didn't stay there. Slowly, painfully, and without any audience, you began to heal. Not for show, not for validation, but for you. Your healing was real, raw. The kind that happens in silence, behind closed doors, through tears that no one sees, and truths that nearly break you before they free you. And then, almost like clockwork, something strange happens. They start mimicking your journey. Suddenly they're sharing quotes about self-awareness, talking about ego work, journaling, meditating, doing yoga, posting about inner peace and growth. They talk like they've awakened, like they've finally understood what you tried to teach them all along. But look closer. It's not truth they're reaching for, it's image. They saw what healing did to you, how your energy shifted, how people respected you more, how your presence grew quieter, stronger, deeper. And now, they want that same energy, not by earning it, but by copying the aesthetic of healing. They imitate your stillness, your insights, your lifestyle. They adopt your phrases, your routines, your habits. They try to carry the light that once radiated from you, forgetting it wasn't something you wore, it was something you became. But here's what they'll never reach: depth. Healing isn't pretty, it's not filtered, it's not an identity, it's a surrender. Real healing demands accountability. It asks you to sit with your guilt, admit your harm, own your shadows. It's walking through shame, not bypassing it. It's change when no one's watching, not performance when everyone is. And that's why they'll never truly transform, because their entire identity is built on denial. They can't look themselves in the mirror long enough to see the harm they've caused. They can't admit that their pain didn't excuse their cruelty, that the suffering they caused wasn't accidental. It was a choice rooted in entitlement and ego. So their healing journey? It's a costume. They read the books but skip the lessons. They say the right words but never sit with the truth. Their growth is borrowed, a shell with no center. And you spot it instantly. Because once you've walked through the real fire, you know the difference. You recognize what's genuine and what's staged. You feel the hollowness behind their words, the performative lightness behind their presence. And that's what terrifies them the most. They can fool others, but they can't fool you. So you don't react. You don't call them out. You don't play their game. Your silence in the face of their imitation is the clearest sign of the distance between you and who they pretend to be. And when they realize that even mirroring your healing won't get your attention, they start to unravel. Because there's nothing left to copy when you're no longer watching. You've become a mirror they can't use anymore. Because you're not reflecting back their illusion, you've stopped looking entirely. And that's a punishment no mask can survive. What are your views on this? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I will personally read all of your comments. And if you seriously want to level up in life, don't forget to show some love by hitting the like and subscribe button. Stay strong. Until next time.